Welcome back. We are in week 5 of our teaching series, What is Your Nineveh? My name is Karaima, and can you believe we're already halfway there? We have gone 5 weeks already. And in this series, we've been teaching from Jonah chapter 1, and we've been asking ourselves the question, what is the thing God is calling me to do that I've been running from? Week 1, we started off with forgiveness. We then went into trust, fear, and purpose. Today, we're going to be talking about something that can quietly keep us from every single thing God has called us to do. It is our comfort zone. And I want to start us off with this question. Imagine how many lives, well, not really a question, more so of a statement. Imagine how many lives are being affected because you are afraid to do what God designed you to do. We think that staying in our comfort zone only affects us, but when we think that think about your mentality behind it, well, I'm just not ready yet. I'm waiting for the right time. I'm just trying to be wise, or I'm not comfortable with that yet. We think that that only affects us, but what if in reality this is delaying the people that are connected to your calling, to your obedience, to your blessings, because your blessings are not only for you, they're for everybody else as well. For example, like what if that book that you're meant to write, the ministry you're supposed to start, the business, the testimony that you're supposed to say, but the enemy just has a chokehold on your throat and won't let you speak, the relationship you're supposed to let go of. You know, what if all of that is waiting on your next step, on your next move? What if staying where you feel safe is actually preventing you from fulfilling what God placed you to do on this earth? That's why today we're asking, is your Nineveh is your comfort zone your Nineveh? And let me start by saying that comfort isn't always a bad thing. We do need rest. The Bible talks about the Sabbath. We do need stability. We need routine, like some sort of structure and peace. None of that is bad. The issue becomes when our comfort becomes the reason that we don't obey God. There's a difference between being at peace and also being comfortable in disobedience. Jonah chapter 1 shows us this clearly. He was told by God, hey, you need to go to Nineveh. And instead of going, he went in the entire opposite direction. And he eventually ended up on a ship. A storm came. The sailors were afraid. Jonah was sleeping while the storm was happening. And even though he was sleeping, and sleep for us is peace, it was actually him avoiding what he had to do. He was comfortable enough to sleep, but he was still outside of God's instruction. Take that as a warning, because you can be comfortable and still be going in the wrong direction. You can be calm and still be avoiding God. You can have a routine and still be resisting purpose and change. You can be used to something and still be out of alignment of what God has for you. So the question that we have to ask is, am I truly in God's peace, or have I gotten comfortable with avoidance? When we look at Jonah chapter 1, the story doesn't tell us what Jonah was doing before God spoke to him. It it does not say if he was working, if he had plans for that day, if he was in the middle of something, if he was on a date. We don't know what this man was doing. We just know that God told him, hey, go to Nineveh. That's all we know. We don't know what Jonah was doing. So that means that whatever Jonah had going on in that moment, God interrupted it with a command. And sometimes that's how God speaks to us. You could be in the middle of your routine. You could be building your own plan for your life, working your job, minding your own business. And suddenly you hear that small, still voice. You hear God say, go, leave. prepare, move. You know, you hear, sometimes you'll hear sentences, or sometimes you'll hear just, one single word. I've had both happen to me. So I would love to hear your input of if you've ever heard this. So the instruction, it may not come with a full explanation or a full plan. It's not going to come when you feel ready or when it's even convenient for you. But when God speaks, it interrupts what we're doing because his purpose is greater than whatever we got going on in our routine. And that's one of the hardest part about walking with God and purpose, that it doesn't matter what we got going on at any moment, our lives can change. God doesn't wait until your calendar is clear for him, until your bank account looks perfect, until everybody says, "Yeah, yeah, we believe in you." He interrupts you with a command, and that's where your obedience begins. Change is uncomfortable, and I can't say that most of us do not like change because it requires us to leave what we know. Even if what we're in is not healthy to us, it's familiar. And that's what makes it okay. Like, we know how this thing works, we know what to expect, and we know how to survive there. Change, however, is inevitable. You can be stuck in a routine and something will eventually disrupt what you got going on. A door may suddenly close, the relationship you're in for 5 years may end, your job lays you off, your health may have done something to get your attention, your prayers aren't being answered. Like, there's so many things that can happen. And I want to be clear, not every hard season means that you're in disobedience. Sometimes you're in God's will and you're just facing opposition. Like, you could still be obeying God and still going through a process. That's God probably building your faith, endurance, discipline, and your character. But there are also times when repeated frustration is a sign of misalignment. And no matter what you do, it just doesn't seem to work. So God may be trying to show you that this is not where he wants you to be at. This is not what he told you to build. This is not the relationship he wants you to be in. Like, these are not the plans that he has established for you. And when that happens, the disruption, it isn't punishment, it's only redirection. We could look at people like Jonah, David, and Peter. You know what they all had in common? They experienced disruption. All three were interrupted in different ways, and all three had to step beyond what was familiar. Jonah, he was disrupted by instruction. Again, as I mentioned, the Bible doesn't tell us what Jonah was actively working on. When God gave him the instruction, all we know is that God said, "Go to Nineveh." And Jonah didn't want to. He chose the opposite direction. That teaches us that sometimes the comfort zone is not just where we are sitting. The comfort zone could be that we would rather keep doing what we're doing instead of obeying God. God interrupted Jonah with purpose, and this may be what God is trying to do to some of you. You heard the instruction, you felt the nudge, you feel the shift in your life, but instead of obeying, you try to negotiate, and you're never going to win. That's for sure. You're not going to win. You try to tell him, "No, God, not right now," or I don't want to deal with those people, or I need more time. I need more time. God, can you give me some more confirmation? Or, God, I don't want to do that. Can you send somebody else? Like, that sounds very difficult. And let me tell you, we've spoken about this in the other teachings. Delayed obedience is still disobedience. The longer you stay in your comfort zone, the bigger the storm has to be to get your attention. Now, when we look at David, he was also interrupted. In 1 Samuel 16, David was out tending to sheep when Samuel came to anoint the next king. David wasn't sitting in a palace, he wasn't wearing no crown, he was not being celebrated. He was just out in the field doing what he was doing every day, doing the ordinary. God saw him in that. So sometimes your comfort zone is not sinful. It could just be seasonal for that moment, for that year, for those months. Because look at it, David tending to the sheep was not wrong. That season of his life was preparation for him. It trained him. It taught him responsibility. It built courage, especially in those battles that he had. And it developed his characters. So the field was useful, but it wasn't his final destination. And some of us, we're trying to stay in a place that God intended for preparation because we're afraid of going somewhere that requires more of us. The place that you are in served this purpose. However, that doesn't mean that this is where you're meant to stay forever. Your job can be good, but that may not be your next assignment. The relationship you are in or you're trying to get into, it might be teaching you something or can teach you something, but that's not who God has for you. That's not who He ordained for you. That's not your wife. That's not your husband. You could be in an environment, but that's not your promised land. You catch my drift? And this is why I speak often about discernment, because your comfort and the familiar will tell you, stay here. You know this. This is good. I'm comfortable. But when you're being called and you have a purpose, it's like, no, your mindset has to be, all right, God prepared me. Now it's time to keep it pushing. Now it's time to go to the next level. Peter was also somebody that was interrupted. When we go to Luke 5, Peter was fishing. That's what he knew. That was his skill. That was his livelihood. That's how he made money. Jesus stepped into his world and told him, hey, you're going to fish for people now. And Peter, he had to leave his nets. Think about that. We could say that the nets represented what was familiar to Peter. He had to leave behind his income, his identity, his routine. Peter couldn't fully follow Jesus if he was still holding on to the life he was once accustomed to. At some point, he had to release what was familiar to him to step into what he was assigned to do. And a lot of us, we could say that we struggle with that. Like, we want to follow Jesus, we want to follow God, we want to obey the calling on our lives. Like, we want to do all these great things, but we also want to keep the life that we have just in case. We want that safety net. We want the calling, we want purpose, we want recognition, but we want a backup plan just in case. And that just in case is you telling God, hey, in case your plan fails, at least I know mine will come in and make up for anything. It's like a plan B when there should only be one plan, which is God's plan. We want calling, but we want to be comfortable. And we want obedience, but we want to control everything. And God is like, you can't fully step into the new if you're still holding on to the old. Imagine, like we read in the New Testament, all the things that Peter did and all the places Peter traveled. Imagine Peter telling Jesus, hey, I can't go with you this morning because I got to go fish at 6 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock. I know there's some people that fish at like 1 in the morning. Like, can you imagine? Excuse me. Can you imagine? We read the Bible and then in that Peter's like, yeah, I can't go with you. I gotta go to work. I gotta go somewhere at like 5 in the morning. I gotta go fish. Oh no, I can't travel with you this Wednesday. I'll go with you in 2 weeks from now because I gotta catch this fish. Like, I don't know. Imagine reading that. Like, we'll be looking at our Bibles like, what is this supposed to? This ain't no faith. This ain't no teaching. This is just the regular whatever life people say we're supposed to live. Like, I don't know, I just think about things like that and I'm like, Yeah, no, like you have to let go of the unfamiliar. There's no choice. Like put those people in the Bible, the disciples, even people from the Old Testament, put those people in your position, and the excuses that you say, because that's really what it is, the excuses that we say or that we tell ourselves or we tell others, replace all the faith and replace all the things in the Bible with that. Hey, I can't go with you until 2 weeks from now because I need to take some time off. Hey, no, I can't do that because I gotta watch football. Or, hey, no, that doesn't fit in my schedule. I got the kids this weekend. Can I go? Like, think about that for a split second. It sounds ridiculous to me that I'm even speaking it. So I could only imagine you on the other side listening to me. How ridiculous that sounds. So let's keep going. Let's move on. Let's talk about now what keeps us in our comfort zone, because most people, they're not stuck for no reason. There's something underneath everything, the hesitation, the I'm not sure, the back and forth. There's always something. So the first thing I want to talk about is familiarity. This is where you are may be all that you know. For example, how many of you know people that have never left their hometown? They don't even know what the city across from them looks like. They've never, like, I'm exaggerating on that one, but I've met people like that, especially, these past couple of months that I've been, just meeting new people and traveling and whatnot. I've met people that have told me, I've never left this city. And I'm like, what? Like, not even, it's like, no, not even an hour away, not even 30 minutes to the next town, nothing. And if you can't believe that, then all right, let's expand it a little further. Imagine those people that have never left their state, that have never gone the country. Okay, I understand some people, may not be able to afford that right now, or when they were younger, their family. That's a little bit more understandable. But the hometown, like, that's insane. And then to say that in your adulthood you've never even left the state, that's wild. Because some people, they don't feel comfortable leaving what they know. It feels dangerous to them, even if the place they are in, like, even if their hometown or their state is like draining them, at least they understand it, and at least they know how to maneuver it. Let's use a relationship for example. Even though it's unhealthy, you could predict this person's patterns. If you say something, they gonna get triggered. If you buy them some flowers or you take them out to their favorite restaurant, they're gonna be cool, like if nothing ever happened. The job, it may not be fulfilling you, but hey, at least it's paying the bills, right? The cycle, it's frustrating, the 9 to 5, the rat race, but you're familiar with it. It all feels familiar. It's a routine, and it's taught you how to survive. And God's calling you out of survival. You can't be obedient and live in survival mode. Faith and survival, they don't work hand in hand. And this is where you have to ask yourself, am I staying here because God told me to stay here? Or am I afraid of what life looks like beyond this, beyond what I'm doing? The second thing that I believe keeps people stuck is trauma. Past experience can make the newness feel unsafe. You might have tried to start something before and it failed. So now you're very hesitant when it comes to starting something new. You trusted someone before. We see this a lot in relationships. You trusted someone before and they betrayed you. So now you think everybody's out to get you and everybody's gonna, and you thinking like that, you're going to attract people that do that. You're going to. And then when you meet that one person that just does the opposite of everything that you're used to, you do everything in your power to like get justification for your feelings, get justification for your insecurities. And that's just you're just hurting people, hurt people, hurt people. Let's just call it what it is, you know? And then you've stepped out in your past to follow your dreams, and for some reason, I don't want to say it failed, but let's just say let's not say it failed. Let's say people laughed at you. People were like, "Oh, you're crazy, or this is never going to work," and da 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 da. So now it it makes you keep your mouth shut, and it causes you to isolate, when sometimes isolation is good, but it could also be a weapon from the enemy. So things like that, when you step out and you see everybody, like nobody wants to help you, everybody's making fun of you and this and that, you use it as like a weapon, as like, oh, I gotta isolate, I can't tell nobody, I can't do this, I can't do that, when we're supposed to seek wise counsel. We're supposed to be in community. So you see, these are things that the enemy can use. You're responding to the memories that you have. And these memories, this is where trauma kicks in. Like those memories that you have, they'll tell you, remember what happened to you last time? It failed before, it's going to fail again. The memory will tell you too, like, hey, don't put yourself out there. You saw what they said, you saw what they did, you saw everything that happened to you. Don't do that again. We have to be very careful that we don't let the old pain become our prophet. If trauma is leading you, it's always going to prophesy fear. It will tell you that the new thing will end just like the old thing, that the opportunity is a setup, this relationship is not for you, this person is going to hurt you. But God says in Isaiah 43 that He's doing a new thing. If God is doing a new thing, we can't keep interpreting the future through the pain of the past. That's why healing is very necessary, because all the unhealed pain can make your comfort zone feel like protection when it's really you just living in a prison. The third topic I want to talk about is control. Some of us, we want to know everything before we move. We want to know the outcome, the timeline, who's coming with us, how much money we're going to make, if we're even going to succeed. And the faith walk isn't going to give you the full explanation, because you're walking by faith. So why would you get the full explanation? You get what I'm saying? God's going to give you the direction before He gives you any details. If you're a control freak, you're probably listening to me right now, wanting to tell me off and like, oh, you're crazy, blah, 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 blah. But all control, all it does is keep you in self reliance. Control says, I will move when I understand everything. Faith, on the other hand, it says, I will move because I trust the one who understands everything. We could go to Proverbs 16, verse 9, and it says that in our hearts, humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. You can plan. There's nothing wrong with that. You can strategize. But at the end of the day, God is the one that establishes your steps. And sometimes the reason we cannot move forward is because we're asking God to bless or control instead of surrendering to His direction. We want God to do what we say instead of us doing what He says. The fourth thing, a sense of false security. Proverbs chapter 1, verses 32 and 33, it warns us that the complacency of fools will destroy them, but whoever listens to wisdom will live in safety and be at ease without fear of harm. That scripture shows us the difference between true safety and a false sense of security. False security will tell you things like, at least I know this, I can control that, this is predictable. Wisdom says, listen to God. The thing you think is protecting you may actually be what's destroying you slowly. A job can give you a paycheck, but it could delay you from fulfilling your calling and fulfilling your purpose. A relationship, it'll give you companionship, but it may be stealing your identity. Think about that one. A routine, it'll give you predictability. You know what you're going to be doing every day, but it can make you stagnant because you don't try anything new. We need wisdom, and comfort can deceive us into thinking we are secure when really we're just stuck. Let's just call it what it is. We're just stuck. Now, another thing that keeps people in their comfort zone is the mindset of one day. I've heard a lot of people, especially when I coach, say that they don't care about doing certain things because their day is coming anyways. And yes, we all have our days. I'm not gonna go back and forth with that. None of us really know how much time we have, but not knowing how much time you have should create urgency, not apathy. If God gave you another 5 years, you should be building towards those 5 years. And if God forbid something happens, let's say in year 3, at least you built something that can continue helping the people that are still here. Write the vision, start the ministry, the business, or whatever you're supposed to be doing. Heal the family patterns, create the resource, have those conversations, make the plan, because purpose is not only about what you personally complete. It's about what you begin, what you document, what you plant, what others can continue after you. The Bible tells us in Habakkuk, however you say that name, Habakkuk, chapter 2, that we need to write the vision and make it plain. Why? Because when your vision is clear, others can run with it. So don't use the uncertainty of time as an excuse to do nothing. Use that time to build faithfully. Now, I want to discuss something that's important, because many of us, we look down upon those that came before us, and those that came before us look down upon us that are the next generation. So I want to touch on this a little bit, because in order to change the trajectory of your bloodline and the generations to come, somebody has to be willing to be the first. Whether if it's the first to heal, or the first to forgive, whether if it's the first to start a business, to break a cycle of poverty, the first to raise children differently, somebody has to be the first in the family, in the bloodline, that says, this stops with me. And let me tell you from experience that being the first is very, very uncomfortable. You will more than likely not have any role models. Your family, they won't understand the vision. No one may be able to provide you with a blueprint. If the blueprint they give you, it might be the blueprint of what not to do, so you don't end up like them. So don't wait on any applauses, and don't expect immediate support. Being the first, even if it's in your friend group, being the first means that you have to fully lean on God. You will have to do that thing that others did not want to do and don't want to do. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. But imagine what could happen if you actually took that first step. Imagine the people who could be encouraged because you shared your testimony. You were brave enough to speak up. Imagine all the people who who will start, reading their Bible, calling on God, following, Jesus, starting their own ministry. Imagine all the things, breaking generational patterns. Like, imagine all the things that can happen if you just started. That's all it takes, just one step, the next step, and creating momentum. You got to think about that. In Genesis chapter 12, we also see that Abraham, he had to step out of his comfort zone. God told Abraham, like, hey, you got to leave your country, you got to leave your people, you got to leave your father's household and go to the land that God will show him. Do a little bit of research on Abraham's father and his upbringing. And I guarantee you, in some way or some form, you'll be able to say, oh, wow, I see this in my own bloodline. Because even Jesus in the New Testament was talking about how a prophet isn't welcome in his own hometown. He said home, yeah, hometown. I was about to say his own home, but I think he said his own home. Either way, you're not welcome where you're from. So God, he didn't give Abraham every detail up front, nor did he tell him any obstacles that he's going to be facing along the way. Remember too that Abraham's obedience wasn't just about Abraham. God told him that through him, many were going to be blessed. So that means that Abraham's willingness to leave what was familiar had generational impact. Hebrews 11. So we went from the Old Testament, now we jump into the New Testament. So look at how all this ties in together. In Hebrews 11, it says that Abraham obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going. That is what leaving the comfort zone looks like. That's what the walk of faith looks like. Read that entire chapter for yourself. You'll get some more revelation, more insight. You're not going to know everything. You just have to trust the one that does. You have to trust the one that called you. And that connects to everything that we've been teaching in this series, because Jonah, he ran from what God told him to do. Abraham actually went to what God told him to go. Both were given instructions. Both had different responses, though. And we have to ask ourselves, which one am I acting like right now? Am I running away from my calling? Or am I willing to leave what is familiar, like Abraham did? Leaving your comfort zone isn't going to look the same for everybody. One person might be that they have to leave their job, another one has to go back to school. Somebody might just need to ask for some help, or you might have to move to a new city. The point is, not everybody has to make a dramatic life change. All we have to know is that when God gives an instruction, we can't let our comfort have the final say. Discernment is very important in this. I don't want you to make any impulsive decisions just because something feels uncomfortable and you're like, oh my God, that's God talking to me. Yes, I have to do it. Like, no. Pray, fast, seek God, check the word, ask for wise counsel, strategize. Like, faith is not you being reckless, it's obedience with God being at the source. And this connects directly to my book, When God Says Jump, because in this book, when God says jump, what I talk about is that more than likely he's asking you to do something that doesn't make sense to anybody, or if it does, it'll make sense to like one or two people. He's asking you to move from the familiar to being faithful to the unfamiliar. And the comfort zone is the surface that you know. The jump is that leap of faith into the unknown. And God's voice is the instruction that tells you when to move. The jump isn't proof that you have no fear. It's proof that fear doesn't have the final say. It doesn't have the final decision. Because you could still be nervous and have questions, but your obedience is going to say, God, I trust you more than I trust what's familiar. We're now in the application portion of our teaching. I said all that I've said. So now, where do we start? How do we actually leave our comfort zone? And I'll tell you, first things first, you got to name it. Ask yourself, what have I been calling peace that may actually be avoidance? Is it your job? Is it your relationship or your friendships? Is it your routine, your mindset? The second thing is name what you're afraid of losing. Are you afraid of losing income? Is it the control that you think that you have? Is it predictability, companionship? Name what you're afraid of losing. The third thing is identify the instruction. What has God been telling you to do? What keeps coming back in your prayers? Like that you're praying for something, but you just feel led to pray something else, or you feel led to like visualize, these things that God is putting in you. What do you keep trying to avoid, but it's not leaving you alone? Like that nudge that you feel and that pull and tug. The fourth thing, take just one uncomfortable step. Not 10, not moving out of impulse, just one step towards your purpose. Maybe you need to send an email, make a phone call, write the first page of your book. Maybe you need to record your first video. Hey, we just recorded our first interview. Like that was a huge step for me. Like that was something that I had in my mind. It was a vision, and I took the initiative and I recorded my first interview for the channel. So that could be something that you need to do as well. Maybe you need to create a budget. You need to ask somebody for prayer. Whatever your first step is, you need to take that first step. The fifth thing is that you have to build support around your obedience. You need people who will pray for you, people that are going to encourage you, tell you the truth in love, not criticize you, just tell you the truth, because they might see things that you don't see and they'll be able to give you some type of guidance. And you need people that's going to remind you what God said when your fear gets too loud in your head. And in this day and age, I know that it's very difficult. I hear this with my clients a lot. It's very difficult to interact with people, especially when you go somewhere and everybody's on their phones, or they're just talking to the person they came with. They don't interact with anybody new. If you don't have anyone, feel free to reach out to me. Yes, I do have my coaching programs that you could pay for, but I also have a prayer line that's free of charge. I don't charge anything for that. I don't believe in charging for prayers or deliverance or anything like that. I have no issue connecting with you and hearing your story and what you may need prayer over. Because in this day and age, some of us, we just need a word of encouragement from time to time. And I know, and my small friend group could speak for that. There's times that I call them and all I say is, I don't need anything. I just need a word of encouragement. Because that, to me, in my opinion, it doesn't matter what I'm going through. A word of encouragement goes a long way than you giving me something. Yes, you could give me something to help my situation, but a word of encouragement, it's like teaching me how to fish. Don't give me the fish, because I'm going to have to keep coming back for more. Teach me how to fish. That's how I see a word of encouragement. And I always say, imagine how many lives can be saved if we just said hi to somebody today, if we just hugged somebody, if we just said, hey, keep going, you got this. Like, imagine how many suicides could have been prevented if you were just nice to somebody today. You get what I'm saying? So if you need somebody, feel free. We got prayer lines. All the description is down below. You could also email me, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Now, the sixth thing, please just be open minded. You expect discomfort. You're going to have growing pains. These are going to be side effects. Don't think that everything is just going to be butterflies and rainbows. No, your peace might feel like that. You're going to have a peace beyond understanding. But don't expect the enemy to just be like, "Oh, okay, go ahead, bye. Go do what you got to do. Go pray, go to church, go do this, go." No. Expect discomfort cuz it's coming. And it's going to hit you where it hurts the most. And it's going to hit you where you're the weakest at because that's where God strengthens you. Don't run back just because your situation feels unfamiliar. Don't run back to your old friend group. Don't run back to that old relationship. Don't go run back to the things you once knew. Don't do it. Expect discomfort. So let's come back to the question, what if your Nineveh is your comfort zone? What if the place you call safe is the place God is calling you out of? What if the routine you keep protecting is a routine that's keeping you stuck? We saw that Jonah received the word of the Lord. David was called out from the field. Peter was called away from the nets, and Abraham was told to leave what was familiar, his family, his livelihood, everything. He had to leave everything behind. Each one had to respond. We have to respond too. The call of God is going to interrupt comfort. The purpose of God is going to interrupt your routine. God's plan is going to interrupt what you had planned. The question at the end of the day is, are you going to obey what God said? This week, I want you to sit with these questions. Take some time, journal, pray, but I want you to sit down and take, some time with these questions. The first one is, what place, routine, relationship, or identity has become my comfort zone? The second one, am I truly at peace or am I avoiding what God asked me to do? The third one, what past experiences makes change feel dangerous to me? Number four, what am I trying to control before I agree to obey? Number five, what repeated instruction or nudge have I been ignoring? Number six, what could have, what, no, hold on. Who could be affected if I remain in my comfort zone? Number seven, who could be blessed if I finally step into my calling and I finally take that first step? And the last one, what is one uncomfortable but faithful step that I can take this week? I also want you to write this sentence down and fill in the blanks. The comfort zone God is calling me out of is, put in your answer. And my first step this week will be, fill in the blanks. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to be honest with God. Go into prayer, take some time with these questions, and take that first step. Now let's recap because we did speak about a lot today. We talked about our comfort zones. We learned that comfort is not always peace. We talked about how change is inevitable. The things that keep us stuck in comfort zones like familiarity, trauma, false security, and that one day mindset. We spoke about Proverbs 1 and the dangers of complacency. And we talked about how to start leaving your comfort zone by naming it, recognizing God's instruction, building support, and expecting discomfort. I want to leave you with this. You don't need to have the entire plan. You don't need to feel completely ready to take that first step. You don't need anybody's approval, and you don't need everyone to understand what God put in you. He put it in you for a reason, because he knew that you can handle the assignment. If not, he would have given it to somebody else. But he gave it to you. You just got to be willing. Imagine how many lives are being affected because you are afraid to do what God designed you to do. You are designed for it. He told you to do it. Imagine how many lives are being affected because you are afraid of what you are designed for. Like, listen to that sentence, rewind this, because as I'm saying it, I'm like, it sounds ridiculous, but even sometimes I fall into this. So I'm speaking to myself as well. Now imagine the opposite. Imagine how many lives could be blessed because you took that first step. You finally said yes. Imagine all the people that could be encouraged, the family patterns that could finally be broken. Like, just imagine all the people that could be saved just because of you. If you don't already know, just ask God what your next step is and then move. But I'm pretty sure if you following along in these videos and you clicked on this one today, is because you know you're called to something bigger and God placed something in you. You just got to make that move. So I want to thank you so much for watching. If this teaching helped you, share with someone who knows they're called for more, but is afraid to leave the familiar. If you want to go deeper, my book, When God Says Jump, it's available on Barnes and Noble and Amazon. I also have my other books there. You can book a coaching session as well or enroll in one of my online courses if you want additional teaching, assignments. Coaching sessions are also included, and I'll be right there with you supporting, your journey. If this teaching led you to sow, you can do so on Cash App and Venmo at Women Legacies. The information is also down below in the description box. We are also accepting testimonies for all topics within our Nineveh teaching. So if you feel led to share your story, you can reach out to us at hello@karimaonline.com with your information and testimony, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. We are open to doing via Zoom, in person, or just audio recording, because there are some people that have reached out to me telling me that they want to tell their testimony, but they do not feel comfortable being in front of a camera. So if you are one of those, we are accepting testimonies where we don't record any video footage. So feel free to reach out. We'll make it work. I'll see you next Wednesday for our next teaching in our series, What is Your Nineveh? Next week, we are going to be talking about relationships. I will see you then.